Working in retail can be a fairly tough gig. While I was lucky to spend about 15 years in retail with only 2 incidents, one was a flasher and the other was a very angry customer screaming in my face on my first day at EB Games, I constantly hear horror stories from friends and people online talking about the hellscape that working in retail has become. Discounty, by Crinkle Cut Games, aims to make retail a more enjoyable experience by taking the management of a supermarket and making it cozy. What's it like? Well, enjoy your coffee while the shutters are still closed, mentally prepare yourself for the day, and if it scans for $0 it must be free, right? As we review Discounty on Nintendo Switch. Discounty puts you in the boots of a character returning to a small harbour town called Blomkest to help your Aunt Tella run a supermarket. You will secure deals with local businesses, stock shelves, order products, and yes, even mop the floors as you aim to expand and grow your supermarket business. It's all rather fun and relaxed at first, but eventually you will discover corporate greed, political corruption, and a town struggling to save its soul as you progress through the story. Now, what I really loved about Discounty was how it felt like you were experiencing Stardew Valley from Jojo Mart's perspective. Well, kind of. Instead of finding franchises and corporations, your job is to initially help establish a supermarket chain in town. And I can't say too much else without going into spoiler territory here, but that narrative really had me hooked pretty much right from the get-go. Gameplay will see your average day tasked with ordering and stocking shelves, serving customers, collecting profits, and then using those profits to upgrade your store. You will have to recycle packaging left over from your orders, work out deals and establish relationships with vendors, and upgrade those relationships to secure even more stock and higher profits. It's actually really fun. And initially serving customers does require a little bit of brain power because you have to manually enter the prices into the register to get the product through. But eventually you'll even upgrade that into a register with the scanner, and that makes things significantly easier, although you still don't lose the interactivity of operating the till. When your day ends, you'll just restock your shelves, buy new displays that offer boosts to certain product types, grab some more shelves, and keep on going. And that gameplay loop is incredibly addictive, and for a while, you'll often forget that there's a greater narrative at play. But when the story develops, I found that despite enjoying the gameplay so much, I was just trying to rush through targets to move forward to see what unraveled. And I was making a small fortune, and it felt like my store was hitting maximum efficiency in order to progress. Yes, I guess you could say that my new career in retail was going rather well. Until the day 1 patch dropped, and my retail career started to have a few hiccups. You see, up until this point I had been playing a pre-launch review copy of the game, mainly on my Switch 2, and that ran at about 45 to 60 frames per second. When the day 1 patch hit, it dropped performance to a capped frame rate that made it run almost in line with the Switch 1 version of the game. So now, both the Switch 1 and Switch 2 versions sit at 30 FPS for the most part, with both systems having noticeable dips while walking around inside your shop. These dips tend to drop to around 24 frames per second for the most part, and recover relatively quickly, but it is very noticeable. I have reached out to Crinkle Cut Games on this, and they are investigating, and until then, performance on both systems is affected. This update on my system also seemed to introduce an odd bug in which civilians no longer walk properly. Instead, they shuffle and stutter along as they go about their business. I'm almost certain that these issues will be patched out relatively quickly, and while it's a small blemish on my experience, it really didn't detract from the fun gameplay loop. Discounty is presented in a gorgeous pixel art style that immediately breathes life into its world. Every corner of the town feels lovingly detailed, from the cozy interiors of shops to mostly empty streets. And the characters themselves stand out with distinctive designs that radiate personality and charm. Some carry a nostalgic warmth as they reminisce about what the town used to be, while others lend a hand in running your store or supply goods that keep those shelves stocked. And it's easy to draw comparisons to Stardew Valley, but Discounty does carve out its own visual identity with a palette and atmosphere that makes it feel fresh and unmistakably its own. Completing the visuals is a cheerful, upbeat chiptune soundtrack that perfectly matches the game's lighthearted tone. The tunes have an infectious energy that kept me bopping along as I played and even made the busier shop days feel like they were over in a flash. For my shopkeepers looking into accessibility options, there's no specific options on offer, so as always, I recommend further research to find out if Discounty suits your needs. Discounty offers a lot of fun gameplay and replayability, so those who like tycoon-style games will get plenty of bang for your buck here. Discounty takes a grind of retail and spins it into something strangely cozy, mixing an addictive gameplay management loop with a surprisingly engaging narrative. Stocking shelves, cutting deals, and serving customers never really lost its charm, and before long I found myself invested not just in my supermarket, but in the town's fate as well. The pixel art and chiptune soundtrack bring a real warmth to the experience, making each day in Blomkest feel inviting as the story peels back darker layers of corporate greed and corruption. While the performance issues on Switch 1 and Switch 2 are currently a blemish, with noticeable frame rate dips and a few odd bugs that only got introduced in the Day 1 patch, they don't completely undercut the joy of running your own store. If Crinkle Cut Games can smooth these out, and I have no doubt that they will, Discounty would easily become a staple for cozy sim fans looking for something fresh yet familiar. For now, it's a charming and clever twist on the life sim genre, and one that shows retail doesn't always have to be a nightmare. So, what's it like? Discounty is like Stardew Valley, told from the perspective of Joja Mart. I award it a 78 out of 100. In the interest of full disclosure, a review copy was provided by the publisher, but this doesn't influence my score. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out what'sitlike.com.au.